You're going.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. A little bit late. Sometimes you can't control everything in life, so appreciate your patience. Welcome to the 2025 edition of SEC Basketball Tip-Off. Couple of days, new format, universities and their two teams, men's and women's teams, over 2 days, so a lot to happen. It's my privilege to introduce first Vanderbilt coach Mark Byington, a Salem, Virginia native. Salem is in the southwestern part of the state, where he led Salem High to a state championship way back in 1994 and had his number 32 jersey retired by the school. He then went to UNC Wilmington, where he scored over 1,000 points. And after college, he spent some time selling insurance. You can ask him what kind of insurance and for what corporations that was. Learned that that might not be the direction he wanted for his career. Completed his master's degree at the University of Virginia and spent time as an assistant coach under Bobby Cremins. I got to know Bobby over probably the last 10 to 15 years. Bobby's a proud graduate of the University of South Carolina, and he and I would debate South Carolina's history and conference affiliation, which we're proud to have South Carolina in the SEC. But Bobby's a wonderful person, wonderful ambassador for the sport of basketball, and I'm sure a great person to learn from during his time at the College of Charleston. Mark's record's pretty remarkable. If you follow Georgia Southern, they had 7 losing seasons, and Mark arrived and turned that program around with 4 consecutive 20-win seasons. That's about leading change in an organization. He orchestrated a similar turnaround at James Madison, finishing that last season with a 32-4 record and a win in the NCAA tournament over Wisconsin. His first season at Vanderbilt, he led the Commodores back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2017. And Mark has a son, Chase, who's currently a senior in high school in Nashville, Tennessee, and has an aspiration of pursuing a career in college basketball just like his dad. Welcome to the podium, Vanderbilt University men's basketball coach, Mark Byington.
That's one of the best intros I've ever had. So but between the commissioner and then the Garth, I think you guys did a great job with that. Good morning. I didn't know I was first, and you probably can read my excitement. I'm glad I get a chance to go first. This is such a fun time of year. This is going in 13 years as a head coach, and I cherish these days and opportunities to be able to start the season and get going. I think everybody right now is full of hope. And I am the same way with this team. We had a good year one, and I know we exceeded expectations. This time a year ago, I was explaining to people what it's like to be picked last in the league, and then how we're going to handle that. And this year, the roster changes. There is new guys, there's new excitement, and everything else. But the most important part of my team right now, and you'll see them around here today, you'll see them a lot on my team, is the 3 returning players. And Tyler Tanner, Tyler Nickel, and Devin McLaughlin. And having them back gives us a big step forward compared to where we were a year ago. And we're excited about all the challenges that come throughout the season. So with that, I'll take any questions you all have.
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, raise your hand. Lorna and Tommy will get a microphone to you. We'll start down here in the very front row.
Thank you. I'm Mark Anthony Christensen, WholeHogSports.com. Just, obviously last year you guys come in and you were picked the bottom of the league and you make the tournament. I guess just what were the biggest challenges of setting that culture in year one, and what was the most gratifying part of seeing that pay off in a tournament berth, and how do you build on that going into year two?
Yeah, it was tons of challenges, and I think last year all the coaches anticipated the SEC being really good. I didn't think any coach could predict it was going to be historically the best league ever. And so for that to be my first year and to take on that challenge and take it in with the new team, we learned along the way. And I hope we do the same thing this year. And with what we did last year, there was a lot of things that I thought were positives. The biggest thing that I think that was a carryover that I'm most proud of is kind of reestablishing hope, in our fan base and our team. And there's great history in Vanderbilt basketball, and bringing people back that might not have been there. I know you guys hear about it, and really I wasn't a complete believer in Memorial Magic a year ago. After going through it past year, Memorial Magic is real, and our home court advantage was special. And so, to name the challenges, hundreds of them. But the biggest ones were just taking over a new program, and the SEC was phenomenal. I really don't think it's going to take a step back. I mean, I'm looking at the teams, the rosters, the coaches, and everything else. I don't know if it's going to be the best all time, but it's not going to take a step back.
Coach, we'll go over to our left-hand front row.
Seems like a little bit of a different roster makeup this year. Does that give you flexibility in how to play a little bit? Do you get to play a little bit differently in some ways that you weren't able to last year?
Yeah, the roster was all completely new last year. And this year, we knew we were bringing back a core group of guys, but looking at the league, and you kind of saw some things that were weaknesses of ours, we had to get bigger. And, that's, you can play a certain style, you can do certain things. But I thought sometimes in the second half we wore down because we just weren't as big as some teams. And I thought, some things got to us. So we changed our roster now. You look at our size, you look at our length. We'll play bigger, not just at like the center position. We'll also play bigger at the guard spots and then the other forward positions. So I just thought, we got to make sure that we're not trying to be like everybody else, but there's something we couldn't overcome last year. So you'll see a big size, improvement from length and everything else with our team.
Okay, we'll go back up front again on the left-hand side.
A lot made of Tyler Tanner heading into year two. Just where is he better, and how much more of a factor could he be down the stretch of year two than year one?
Yeah, a unique stat, and I'm a stat nerd. And if you look at our games last year, under 4 minutes and 10 points or less, Tyler Tanner led us in minutes. And that was a team with fifth-year guards. He was the only freshman who played. And it's actually pretty significant. He played more minutes than anybody else. And so what I can say about that shows I trust him last year. And that's adding on to this year. So he has gotten better. He's stronger. He's put on weight. His intelligence is better. He's super fast. Unbelievable person who wants to learn. So I naturally think it's going to be a year two jump for him. And also there's more responsibilities on him now. So more will be put on him as well.
We have a question right here in the middle. Third row.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I am actually kind of interested in your career pivot. Do you talk to the players, like you work with college students, do you talk to them about that? And like, you went from insurance to basketball, like they may not all their plans may not pan out and you have to change that. I'm sort of interested in that dynamic. Yeah, so the whole story's not always told. With the insurance, I took a 2-week class and got my insurance license. And my first day on the job, I quit before lunch. So I don't have a long-term history of selling insurance. It's probably about an hour and a half. But along with your point, though, I feel like I'm a teacher. I did think I wanted to be a college professor, and I'm a huge believer in education. And one of the big things that we are talking to our players about now, we're in an NIL world where everybody's money now. And we just feel like at Vanderbilt, you're going to have a chance to play in the NBA. The SEC has the most NBA players, and we got 15, 20 scouts at every one of our games. But at the same time, with what you can do with Vanderbilt, we feel like it's a generational changing education and connections. And so we feel like it's the best of both worlds with that. So that part of it is emphasized. I don't tell a lot of stories about selling insurance.
Go back over here on the left-hand side, second row.
Elena Morris, Vandy 24/7. You mentioned the NIL. Could you just talk about maybe where you feel like that fits in the new rev sharing structure?
Complicated. And I'm not trying to dodge the question. This is extremely complicated. And the reason I think it's complicated, it's ever changing. I thought we might get to a certain spot to where revenue sharing is in place and now we know what we're going to deal with and what's going to be the case. And we don't. I mean, things are still changing. When you're going through such big changes in college athletics, there's going to be some things you got to work through, some awkward times, some rough times. And, we are going through that and we don't have a system yet. But the things that you're talking about, revenue sharing is kind of the base that's going to make a team up right now in college sports. And then, the extra part of it is going to be the NIL off the court. And so it's something I think we're working through as well as the other programs too. I don't think anybody has it figured out right now. And if they do,
please call me and call Vanderbilt.
We'll stay on that left side, front row again.
I guess along those lines, just how challenging was the introduction of rev sharing for you guys, and kind of how have you had to adapt to it, and maybe having to figure out how you allocate your funds differently?
Yeah, I think the biggest adjustment is going to be next year. A lot of teams right now are kind of dealing with the old rules that are happening 2 years ago. And I think you'll see a significant, pivot with teams and how things are allocated in the next year's teams and roster makeup. So we are actually have to think about that now. I mean, we've, in high school recruiting, thinking about that now, roster retention, thinking about that now. And then we know when we get to the spring, the transfer is what's going to take place. So you got to plan ahead, but I think you'll see the changes next year.
Okay, we'll stay over here on the left-hand side, second row.
Hey, Coach. Neil Blackman, Saturday Down South. You guys, I guess in the new NIL era, retention is such a huge thing, and obviously you were able to retain really some key pieces. I know a lot of talk about your transfer class, but maybe speak to that and sort of how challenging that is in the new era.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of explain a timeline, we were in the NCAA tournament, and we lost a hard game to St. Mary's, a game that could have went either way in the NCAA tournament. And then, on the flight back, I mean, I'm scheduling meetings immediately with players potentially to return. And then we're actually doing that meeting the next day when we land. And the players that are coming back were priority one for us, not transfers or anything else. And the reason why they're priority one, they're unbelievable people. They're very talented basketball players, but they care about winning. And don't think that's everybody right now. And so having those guys who will sacrifice and do different things, care about winning, were a big step in us being successful last year. That was the most important thing we did in the spring, and that's why we did that immediately after the NCAA tournament, is trying to get that set up.
Okay, we'll take one final question on our left, front row.
I know you can't say names, but you feel like you're getting more yeses in high school recruiting nowadays from top guys. Is it easier with proof of concept now that you've made the tournament and you've had a successful year with your system at this level?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about trying to get, belief kind of back in our program, with the fan base, but also it is with, high school coaches, AAU coaches, and getting them to understand, we could be successful. I'm going to tell you one of the biggest things in recruiting right now is it's the strength of the SEC. I mean, everybody saw that. From high school coaches to players, just a recognition that our league had last year, that helps us in recruiting right now. And flat out, I'm sure the other 15 coaches are saying the same thing. I mean, we might be the second highest level of basketball in the world. Behind the NBA, it's right there. Maybe a Premier League, but at the same time, it is extremely high. And players who want to play in that, they want the challenge of that. It's a great league for them. So SEC's been a really big selling point for us, and I think people are understanding that.
Coach Byington, thanks for your time this morning.
All right, thank you all.